Hi everyone. Today I would like to share with you some of my recent experiences with the Jehovah Witnesses. It seems to me that I've been blacklisted or red flagged, if you will. This last month or so I've been going up to some Jehovah Witnesses and asking them questions, and they ask me for my name or my number, my address to get back to me, and so I've given it out and nobody has contacted me since. The first time, it was a young girl about 17, and she said, I'm going to send somebody over to your place who knows better English than me. And I thought that she spoke great English, but I gave her my address, my name, my number, and nobody ever came and stopped by. And about a week after that, I was talking to two Jehovah Witnesses, and one was probably 21 and her sister was about 17, and she didn't know the answer to my question, said that she needed to do her research, and I thought, well, that's fair. And so I wrote down my question and all my information and gave it to her. And actually, when I was talking to her, the Jehovah Witness who I spoke to a week prior walked by and said, oh, my friend couldn't find your address. And I was like, well, I'm right here, you could come by anytime. And I finished talking to the first Jehovah Witness, and they went on their way, and I haven't heard from them since. And then about a week after that, I saw a Jehovah Witness by the donut shop, and I went up to them. There was a group of them, and one lady was speaking with me, and I explained to her how Jehovah Witnesses were coming to my place, but then they stopped abruptly, and she said, no, I need to go over there and answer your questions. And so I gave her all my information, and she gave me her number, but she never contacted me, which I thought was weird. And I thought, are they lying? Are they forgetting? What is going on? And then about a week or so after that, two Jehovah Witnesses were walking in front of my place, and I went out there and started asking questions. And it doesn't matter what question I ask a Jehovah Witness, they will always give me the Father is greater than I. And so she turned to the Father is greater than I, and I started explaining that to her. It's either the Father is greater than I, or Colossians 1:15, or Proverbs 8:22, or Revelation 3:14. And I'm like, I'm not talking about any of those verses. All their proof texts. So anyways, I was explaining to her the Father is greater than I verse when more Jehovah Witnesses came up to us. And then I went back to my original question and asked everyone there so they could understand what we were talking about. It was about Jesus' resurrection. And there was one old lady there who I think she knew where I was going with the question, and she just got really upset, and she's really mean, and she just started yelling at me, and I was really taken aback by it. I was just like, whoa, is she really being like this in front of everybody? And I asked her, why are you being so mean? Really quiet. And she said, I'm not being mean, I'm not being mean, we're Christians, we're full of love. And then she tried to give me a hug, which I was like, it was kind of awkward, especially after being yelled at. But when she started yelling at me, I thought, you know what? I'm just going to let her rant. And I knew that the Jehovah Witness who I was talking to had only been in the religion for a couple of years. And so I just thought I'd let her see, this is what you're involved in. This is what you're into. They agree with you and are nice to you until you disagree with them. And then they completely change. And true Christians are willing to reason with you no matter what. And they love you no matter what. And so one man in the crowd reached over and handed me a piece of paper for my number. So I wrote down my number. They never contacted me either. Anyways, the entire group walked off except that girl who I was talking to about the Father is greater than I. She was just standing there, and she was shocked. I could tell. She was just like looking at them and looking at me like, this really just happened? And so that was really interesting, and I hope and pray that she'll realize that what she's into is not true Christianity at all. Yesterday I was speaking to some Jehovah Witnesses also. It actually wasn't much of a conversation. I was at Earth Fair, and the Jehovah Witnesses had a table, and two Christians were talking to them, and I walked up and I started listening in, seeing how they were doing. And I interjected a question, and the lady completely changed. She just told me that I had to go, I had to leave. She was done talking to me, and I have it on video, and I'll post it later. But you could see how it's just completely ironic. She's yelling at me, telling me to leave because I'm not being reasonable, because I won't reason with her or listen to her when I just got done listening to her, and the whole point of being at the table was to reason with her. And one man said, "You guys are apostates," or I think that's what she's calling you, is apostates. And so if you have similar experiences, please share. I read an article about Jehovah Witnesses stalking other people. And so if you have an experience of being stalked or completely avoided by Jehovah Witnesses, or actually how the system works, that would be great. If I could find that link, I'm going to put it into the information bar. So thank you so much for listening, and go ahead and comment.